Welcome to What's Your Story. Our guest today is a woman with many stories, and you're going to really enjoy meeting her, Sandy Kastel. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you for having me today.
Well, you have so many stories, I don't know which one we're going to talk about. So where do we start? I mean, I've known you forever, so it's really an honor to have you on my show, because
Thank you.
I've known you since you were a little girl, and then you were Miss Nevada, and you won that big award at Miss America, and then you were a singer, and then an author, and then I mean, you've done it all. You've been an entrepreneur, you've been an artist. So what do we talk about first?
I want to do more. I haven't done enough. Actually, I even started reading some books that I had read in the past, but I'm kind of revisiting them, and some new books that I haven't. And a lot of them are all the self-improvement health books that all of us have heard of, the Napoleon Hill, you know, and things like that, that are always out there for successful people. I was thinking about this a lot, and I was thinking, what's the most important thing? Because you say, what's your story? Okay, what is my story? I am a woman of many faces. There's a song that I sing called Who Is That Woman in the Mirror? And I thought about that because really, she's right. I do have a lot of things that I enjoy doing, but I'm still the same person. I am Sandy. I run on Sandy time. Unfortunately, I always seem to do that. No matter what I do, something gets in the way. But my heart is good, and it's in the right place.
Well, that's the one thing we all know about you.
I know. The Sandy time, and the heart's in the good place.
And that's a good thing the heart's in a good place.
I know.
Because the Sandy time could be trying.
I know it is. And it is a challenge, and especially as a performer, and also in business, it is.
Yes.
But it is something I've grown up with, and it's actually something that I have worked with. And usually, I try to keep it myself within a 15-minute window, but it always seems like I've got a lot of things going on.
Life happens.
And life happens, and things get in the way. I can be ready an hour ahead of time, and then something happens. But I thought about it once, and I said, you know what? I've discovered from my mom that I came out a half an hour late. Did you know that, Judy?
No, I didn't
That's
know
something
that.
you didn't know about me.
I knew your mom, but she never told me you were late in the beginning.
I didn't want to come out. I did not want to come out, and that doctor had to go in and take me out because I said, no, I don't want to come out yet. But so I think that's a good thing, though, because I think I'm gonna wait for a long time to go out the other way. But something is about me. My dad used to say, Sandy's always trying new things, and she gets bored with them, and then she goes on to the next thing. Now, okay, from the outside, it could look like that. I'm trying all these things, and I get bored with it, and I go on to the next thing. However, if you think about it, I do things. It's not I'm just trying them, I'm actually doing them. And what happens is, in the process, and this is a kind of a feeling in my life that I feel like a motto or whatever, in part of my Fit and Fab Forever, it's basically everything that we learn, everything that we go through makes up who we are today, yesterday, tomorrow. Okay, so even if we have a challenging situation in our lifestyle, as we all have, what happens is, what do we do with those challenges in our life? And you and I have talked about this before. We talked about the Don't Tell Me I Can't, which is one of my songs, but it's also one of my themes, like don't tell me I can't do it. Don't tell me it's way too late. Don't tell me I don't fit the mold, It's so trying something helps me to see what I like and what I want to expand on and what I want to incorporate in my life. As an author, you know that everything that's in these books are from people's stories. It's from their life stories, and it's from their challenges in life. But if we don't live life, we don't have a story to tell.
Yes, these are the Life Choices book series, and Sandy has a story in each one of them. They're anthologies where they have 28 authors have written stories, and Sandy's written a story in each one of them. They're very good stories, as a matter of fact. So if you're interested in the Life Choices book, you can get a hold of Sandy or
right
me.
Here.
You do that well. You're better than Vanna.
But she looks so cute in those outfits. I think she's taller.
So would you. So tell people about your life as a performer. I mean, you've been a performer for as long as I've known you.
Yeah, the performing was kind of like 4 years old. I was 4 years old, sitting with Frank Sinatra records that I bought from my dad for 50 cents each. I know, that's my story, but it's true. My dad's a musician, or was a musician, and he's not with us anymore, but he's up there and he's watching over us and he's playing up there with the big bands. But so I bought these records from him, 8 records, for 50 cents each. I sat in the living room in Mesquite, Texas, where we had lived after we ended up there from San Francisco. But I had the wood floors, and I had all the records spread out, and I had my little record player, and I learned all of those songs, all of the Frank Sinatra songs at 4 years old. The only thing is, my first song I sang, I couldn't pronounce individual, so I said, "You make me feel so young, you make me feel so spring is sprung, and every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual." And he did have that on tape, but we lost it somewhere along the line.
That's funny.
So I learned all those songs. But I also had my mom. My mom was country, my dad was jazz. So I had the country influence from my mom. She introduced me to Patsy Cline and to Loretta Lynn and all the older country singers. So I would hear those songs, I would sing them with her all the time. So I had that influence there. And then I had the musicals on TV of the 30s that I would watch. And I fell in love with the musicals where I could sing, dance, act. I could do it all. Right? So I always grew up with that passion of wanting to just be on stage and be in front of an audience, and I'm still doing it today, even though I haven't done it a lot lately because I've been working on other things. But
well, I don't know when you would have time, because you do this organization called Women in Music and Arts, which you founded, and I remember it's been what 10 years probably, because I was I was your opening keynote speaker. So I'm thinking, when was that? That was a little while back. So you've been running that organization pretty successfully for all that time, and you do your sculpturing. This is one of your things.
Yes,
you do, and show this. This is beautiful.
Yeah, that's the Egyptian princess, yes. And I didn't copy anything. That was all out of the creativity of, evolving as I was working on her.
Yeah, so when do you have time to perform? I mean, you're doing all these other things and recording, and you've got CDs, and it's just amazing. And then now, look at this. What is this? This
is from the CD, the Indiana Rain CD, which is right here.
Oh, that's my favorite CD.
And then this is the original songs. And in fact, I'm going to go back to that a little bit later, but this is the album of the photo shoot that we did. And the only reason I wanted to do this, she asked me, she said, "Do you want a book of it?" And of all the photos, and I said, "Yes, this is the best photo shoot I've ever had." And she was amazing. So that's what it is. And so I called it Variations because it's variations on a theme, like my life. But okay, so you asked me, how do I do everything? Okay, the problem, I mean, not the problem, the thing of it is we don't do everything all at once. It's a process. I've always been a singer, so that you can throw me on the stage and I'll perform. Okay, I've done big bands, I've done small bands, I've traveled on the road, I've traveled around some other countries, I've performed there. I have recorded a few albums, 3 albums, and two of them were done back in Nashville, and then some were done in a combination of Nashville, LA, and Las Vegas. But they've all been at different times. And then the book series I did after the recording of this album. I think it was this album that we did. This is the one. Yes, because I hadn't seen you in a long time. You and I'd worked for Judy a long time at her modeling agency, Universal Models.
Yes, you did a lot of modeling, a lot of TV commercials, a lot of shows.
Yeah, and some of those commercials were around for a long time.
They were.
Till they had to get rid of them to put something else up. But so we went through the pageants together, and you were my chaperone, and you were the executive director, actually, you and Laura, at the first one, and the second one for Miss Nevada. You were also, you weren't part of that one, but you were always part of my life.
I just went there with you.
Yeah, you were always part of my life. And my mother's, too.
Yes, your mother was a model for our agency.
That's right, and Mom is the one that...
That's how I met you, is through your mom, because your mom was really gorgeous.
Yeah, she took me to the Wendy Ward Charm School.
And I was Wendy Ward.
And you were Wendy Ward, and it was a 2-week program. And she taught us all the basics. Take care of your hair, your makeup, your skin, do your manicures and pedicures. So right away and walking. Oh yes, put the book on your head and walk across the hall. So she taught us how to really just present ourselves to the world and to be the best that we can be, which has stayed with me all through these years, and it stayed with all the people that went to you. And you know, so we've had a long history, but I got off the track, so put me back on track.
Well, we were talking about your albums.
Yes. Oh, and doing everything at once.
Yes.
So everything isn't done at once. So what happened is, as I was working through this album, I came back to Las Vegas and I was wondering, I wonder where Judy is. You know, Judy Moria, what is she doing? I knew she was a motivational speaker by this time because you had sold Universal Models. I knew you were coaching people. You had written books. You were traveling. I knew all of this. I just didn't know where you were. And so I Googled you.
And you found me.
And I found you, and I called and I said, what are you doing? Where are you? And you said, well, I'm in Las Vegas. I, what? Anyway, so we got together and I told you what I wanted to do was write books. I wanted to do this and do that. And you said, well, we are starting the Life Choices series. And so I jumped on board and met a lot of other authors through this opportunity and made some really good friends that are, you know, still friends today, and they'll be lifelong friends.
I find people that write are usually pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I remember when we were talking about, you know, being a writer and how do you write and what do you write about and how do you know what to write and how are you an expert? One thing that I learned from you is that whatever it is that you do, that you have spent your entire life doing up to whatever point, you are an expert in it within the realm of where you did it, right? And when we take our own stories and we put them down onto paper, I mean, you know, does it mean we're going to be a scholar or something like this or be a big novelist? We don't know that. All we know is get it down.
Exactly.
Get it down on paper. And even with songwriting, it's the same thing. I'm always mentoring young artists, singers, and that are singers that don't write songs yet. And I will tell them, keep a little book, keep a little file folder, keep it in your phone, you know, however it is that you keep your notes. Write your ideas. If you hear a conversation and it triggers something in you that says, wow, that'd be a great idea for a song, it'd be a great idea for a book, it'd be a great idea for a film or a movie, write it down, and then you revisit those.
I have a whole
ideas.
list of book titles.
Oh, yes.
Because I hear something, I think that'll make a good book title.
I
so
know.
I have a list, and then every now and then I go in there and get one of those out and say, oh, let's write something for this.
I know, I have a few of those too. And I was thinking, okay, so books, singing's always been there, the books. And then I'm trying to think, it was 1998 that I started sculpting. And I always wanted to do art. I did art in college at UNLV. I drew, I sketched. I got the art stuff from my mom because she was an artist.
You know, I just found the other day in my stuff, I found a couple of her cards.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
with the
beautiful
little
greeting cards that she did.
She was a prolific artist.
She was fabulous.
And we didn't even know half the stuff that she had done. When she passed away, we found boxes and boxes and boxes, and I still have those boxes, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all these? I wanted to do a book or all this. She's got sketches, and she painted too. So I got that from her, and I had an interest in it. But I was a singer, so I was performing. I was doing theater. I was doing, you know, I was traveling. I was doing all that. So what happened is, in 1998, my girlfriend Tanya Nikolic, that I had met while doing this album, because I met her, and we, through Color Reflections, one of the girls there, and she helped produce this out, or helped me with the production of it. So she was kind of like a director of it. She and I became friends. She's an artist. She's well-known, you know, graphic artist, does big, big paintings. She called me and she said she was going to do a sculpting class. I said, really? Can I come? She said, yeah, because I always wanted to try, you know, getting my hands in the
good
clay.
For your soul.
It's really good. So I go to the class, and it was once a week, and I just used Roberta Sheffrin Baskin. She was like, she was just amazing. She was from New York. She had been doing her sculptures and everything in the 30s.
Wow.
Okay, and she studied with all these fabulous people back there, and then she shared her knowledge with us. So of course, we started with the head. We learned the basics of how to shape the head.
Yes, and the ones that you did were amazing.
Right. So what happens though is, in the process, I didn't know what I was making. I wasn't copying anybody. I wasn't trying to do a figure of a head of somebody I knew. It was just, oh, let's see what it's going to be. So I did it, and in the process, she just kept evolving. At one point, I thought she was going to be a male because she had a strong jawline, you know. But then as she developed, and then as the headdress came, and I went, oh, maybe she's Aztec. Oh, maybe she's Egyptian. And then during the process, I actually had a dream. And as you know, I've been doing dream work since I was 29 years old when I was living in LA. And so one morning, you know, I woke up and I went right to the computer and I wrote her entire story. I mean, like, you know, a rough thing, 8 pages of her story with her brother in Egypt. And it's kind of like he became the pharaoh, but she was his sister, and she actually advised him. And then, I mean, whole story. And then when she was accepted and juried into one of the shows over at the Las Vegas Art Museum, we had some people from the Smithsonian that were over there, and then they were looking at my work and they said, wow, this is like as good as some of the stuff that's in Japan, you know, of the King Tut stuff. And I'm like, yeah. But it's not, you know, it's just that it has that something. It has something. And then I went to Arizona. I was in, what's the place in there? Sounds like, but it's not. It's it's Sedona. Thank you, John, the voice from out of the past. So in Sedona, I was in some shows there, some juried shows, and I had Egyptologists that came and were with me for 2 hours, telling me all of the symbolism that was there in what I had made. And I had no clue. And then the thing about the cobra being on the head is very unique. It was only done really with the pharaohs and stuff, but it was actually different. But then the Egyptologist told me that the empress, the women that were before the pharaohs, like they had this on their whatever, their headdress.
Yeah.
And it was, but that had been revealed through them going deeper and having digs
And this
that came
just
up.
came from a dream you had.
And I didn't know because I didn't look at books. I didn't go to Egypt. I just did it. So anyway, sculpting. So the sculpting, I still have works in progress. I still do it every once in a while, but I was working on my new album. I was doing this, so I had to focus on the music.
Yeah.
So yes, when you lay it all together, it looks like a lot. And you say, how do you do it? Because it's not all at once. But
I've
it's
known
not.
you for a while.
It's a body of work.
So I know that when you focus, you really focus.
I know.
You know. So I understand what you're saying about, you know, you do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
It looks like you're doing a lot of things because you do so many things. But
Yeah.
when you're doing one thing, you stay focused and you get it done, and then you do something else. I know that about
And
you.
everything feeds everything. This doing
It's all
that
artistic.
work.
It's all artistic.
Doing this, so I've always been a singer. I've always taken care of myself as best as I know how. I started out when I was traveling on the road, getting facials, working out, getting massages because I knew they were good for me, right? And I still do that. And I get a lot of people sometimes that have come up to me throughout my lifetime and say, well, how do you do this and how do you do that and how do you do? And so when I was doing my radio and TV shows, I started talking about being fit and fab forever. Don't ask me where I got it. It just came to me one night. But I talked about being fit and fab forever. But it's not just about being skinny. It's not about always just eating and doing a diet and sticking to something rigid. It's about being fit and fab forever, fit and fabulous, wherever you are in your life journey. Because as we know, it's all about balancing.
Yes.
Balancing life. And things happen in our life that we have to take our focus off of something and put it over here. Maybe we have a family member that needs to has our attention. Maybe we have children that we're raising and they need our attention. So you might put something else on the back burner that was something that you love doing, and then maybe you come back to that later on in years, or maybe you find a way to incorporate that thing into your life. And so being fit and fab forever is all about the balance, finding the balance for
So
you.
is this a course that you're offering to us?
I have not made a course yet. I talk about it. I feel it.
Well, I think many of us would want to buy it. You know? I would sign up right now.
You know, I'm sorry, John, I think I just touched your microphone. You know, I'm really good with the creative process of it. Okay. And as you know, unless you write it, unless you record it, unless you sculpt it, you actually do the work, you don't get it out there to everybody else.
Right.
And that's really all we're doing here. We cannot judge how it's going to be received. For us, it's about doing the work. So for me, yes, it is a process. Fit and Fab Forever, I want to write a book, working on it. I'm all about learning about different not only foods and nutrition, but especially foods and nutrition, but more of how do we incorporate the healthy things into what we really like without feeling guilty, so that we don't starve ourselves from, or keep ourselves, from enjoying life. And then when you eat the food, you're going, oh, I really don't like this, I really don't like this, I really don't like this. So what happens? You're like, you're not being fulfilled. So if you like a chocolate chip cookie, have it every now and then. You don't have to have it every day or 12 hours a day. So it's about having the base of a good foundation of nutrition in your life, which, yes, I do talk about this, and I live it. But then again, sometimes I went through a period of time taking care of my dad. I was eating a lot of comfort foods. But I also knew that it was important for me to be there. And for me, the comfort foods made me feel good because I was eating them with him. So, okay, gain a few pounds, then you go, and I'm not doing my dance as much, and I'm not doing my workouts consistently, but I'm still doing them. I'm still stretching. I'm still walking around the house and doing what I can do. So what you have to do, for me, it's like, and I can only take care of me. I can't tell anybody else what to do, but we can help and assist, but it's really all about where we are and what we want to do with our lives. So for myself, I have to be kind with myself too, right? And I know you've talked about this a lot when you're talking and you're speaking, and you're a motivational speaker, and she's a fabulous motivational speaker.
Thank you.
Yes, and we have all learned so much from her. But really, it's about being kind to ourselves too. We'll be kind to somebody else, and when somebody comes and they're having a rough time, we go, oh, here, take it easy, don't worry. And what do we do on ourselves? You should be doing. So I try not to have shoulds, but I do also say, okay, what can I incorporate today and still get my other things done? What can I incorporate today and do this, and what can I incorporate today? So it's finding my balance, whatever that is. And it's about everybody finding their own individual balance. And yes, I do want to share that more with people.
You sort of skipped over something.
I did.
Yeah, you kind of skipped over your radio and TV background. And I don't know if you're aware how much we appreciate the fact that you're responsible for this station.
Oh, I know. That's right. We know John Stiles.
Well, John told me when I first met him that it was because of you that he even got into video in the first place, and then because of you, he built this station. And now I'm a part of this station, and Jeff McGee is a part of this station, and so we only have you to thank for that.
Oh,
that's really cool.
Thank you. And see, but then I can say, yes, but Judy started me out at 12 years old. So you're right. We all kind of are mentors to each other, right? And we find that it's like this cross-pollination, if you want to call it. A lot of people I've met in the books, we've gotten inspired to do other projects together. Some people have come into WEMA because I met them through this. The WEMA. So WEMA, W-I-M-A, WEMA, Women in Music and Arts, empowering artists of all ages through education, mentoring, and scholarships.
Thank you.
Barampa. So WEMA is literary, visual, and performing arts. But it's also, I have the healing arts over here on the side with it too, because without our health, we're not doing any of this, okay? So even as we go through challenges and struggles, and as we age, and as we even in school, if people that are athletes can have an injury, sometimes their life is totally dramatically changed, and if they don't have their health or understand how to get healthy where they're at, they can't get back to doing something that they want to do in their life. So my whole idea was that my mom had three sisters. So there were the Armstrong sisters. They all sang and danced when they were kids, and they all had a little routine. And then I grew up being around them and always saw their artistic abilities in different areas, right? And then I have my dad. So it's not just women, it happened to be when I was putting together this from whatever it was, years ago, I'd had a dream. And I remember I did one of those pages, you know, where you get the butcher paper out and, and you draw a circle.
And you do
and
like
you put
a mind map.
Yeah, and you put, yeah, see, I don't know what it's called. I just know it's something. So I put myself in the middle. I go, me. And then it was like, these shoots come off of me, and it's what do I want to do, and I do all these things. And one of the things that evolved out of this years and years ago was this place that's in my head that I drew. I drew the whole thing out, and it's called the WWDBTV Performing Arts Center.
Ooh.
I know, it's one of my projects, and it's something that I'm working on. And but it can be anywhere that we are. You know, as we know, it's just like creating a studio, creating an environment where we can do these things, and that's what I did. So in 2011. I started it officially, and I founded the organization. It's 501c3, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do events. I wanted to do educational things so we could do classes, but also do events so that we could showcase artists, whether they are in whatever art they are in. If they're singers or performers, or they're writers, or they're painters, or even film directors, videographers, whatever they are, whatever it is. It can all fall in there.
Right.
So, and also it's about giving scholarships. So I think that first year we did a lot of events, more than anybody ever expected. But every time we did an event, I was giving a scholarship, giving a scholarship, giving a scholarship. And it was just kind of, you know, evolving. And so I also, when I thought of the name, when I was trying to come up with the name, I wanted it to sound like a radio or TV show, you know, WIMA. So that was WWDBTV, Women in Music and Arts. But we don't leave out men. We do have men in the organization.
Yes.
So yeah, there are other things that I want to do with it, and I'm working with somebody right now. We're kind of restructuring everything. I probably will do some things differently than what I did in the beginning, because I've learned along the way, as we do, hopefully. And I want to start, you know, working on that more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's there.
Wow.
Oh, radio and TV. So I did start the radio show in, I think it was March or May, in 2012, and then the very first show I had a videographer, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to videotape everything that we did, and that's where John comes in, and he got started with me, and here he is today. And here you are today.
And here I am with John.
Yeah. And so my radio show took you know, it was different things. It was WWDBTV. It was Women in Music and Arts, and then it was Lunch with Sandy, because I used to go to different locations, and I would have lunch, and I'd have different artists come in. And I've had international artists. I've had some celebrities. I've had a lot of locals, and so it's been a variety of different people. And then I had, Lunch with Sandy, and then I did a jazz series, Jazz and Cocktails, where I interviewed all musicians and stuff, and it was fun. And
you had a television show, because I was a guest.
And then we did, yes, and then we evolved to television, and then it was Sandy Kastel and Friends, and then it was the Sandy Kastel Show.
Yeah.
So. But and then I started doing the ESPN, on ESPN radio with Mike and his wife. They were doing a racing series, but they knew all about NASCAR. But I knew about NHRA, because I'd been married to a gentleman that was in NHRA, and so I learned all about drag racing for 20 years. I was involved in it. So they asked me to be part of their show. So I started doing that at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays. Ooh. So now I had not only 5 days a week, now I had a 6th day. And finally, after about 5 years, I said, you know what? I need to take a break.
I think so.
Yeah, so I took a break from that, but still, you know, every once in a while I think, well, maybe, and I've come back with John, and we've done some shows here and there. But I haven't figured it out yet. Part of my challenge.
I think you should come and do your Fit and Fabulous show here.
Yeah, I mean.
And then I could be one of your Fit and Fabulous people in the background trying to copy what you do and get fit and fabulous.
You're already fit and fab.
Thank you.
You're one of the inspirations for this. No, seriously. But yeah, we've talked about it before, and I think I've got some people talking with me about a couple things, you know, products and stuff like that, because there's health, there's nutrition, there's clothes, there's there's all kinds of stuff. My thing is that I'm a Sagittarius. I like to be free. I like to go do my thing. And I want to also do more with my album. I kind of went away from it. I wasn't promoting it. I lost several members of my family very quickly in 1 year, and it just kind of made me halt. And then I started just taking care of everybody else, or doing everything, like doing all the WEMA stuff, which I love. So that's going to always be a part of me doing that. But also, when you're doing, as you know, when you are the business person and you have to do all the business aspects of something, sometimes the artist gets put on the side.
Yes.
And as a singer and a songwriter, it is sometimes a struggle to balance that and really truly be to be a performer. So I've been thinking a lot about this, because as you know, my dad passed away last year.
Right.
And I've been taking care of him for the past 4 years, basically, off and on, and then more intensely the last couple of years, which is fine. And I'm, knock on wood, I'm so blessed that I got that time with him, that it was so intense, and I got to learn so much more about him as a man.
Yes.
Not just my dad, because we don't really learn about our parents, a lot what they were like when they were younger.
Because when we're young, they're already adults.
Yeah, and they're telling us what to, go out and helping us to go out and be ourselves, right, and develop. So I learned a lot more about him. So I'm really blessed that I got an opportunity to do that. But, and he and I talked a lot about this, there's a change that I've gone through myself as an individual over the past few years. And I haven't talked about it to anybody, really. So this is like, don't tell anybody.
Well, nobody will ever hear it from me.
I know. So there is something that I've discovered, kind of rediscovered. When I was a young girl, and I just went out and sang on the road, I just did it, and you didn't think about it, you just did whatever you did. Then as as I went along, then I had responsibilities, and and I had this responsibility, and I had work, and I did this, but I always sang for a long time. But then I went to LA, and I got in the clothing business. That was great, and did real well in it. Learned a lot of things, another creative job. The last 4 years has been, and the last, actually, since I lost my mom, and my sister, and my nephew, and my niece, in 2011 and 2012. Sorry, I might not be able to talk about this. No. Anyway, but it was while I was doing the album. And shortly after, when everybody passed away, it was in such a short period of time. It was in 9 months, within 9 months.
I remember.
And so I had started with the Indiana Rain, the song that's on my album. You can check it out on my website, or if you just Google Sandy Kastel and Indiana Rain, it'll come up and you'll see the video. But what happened is everybody passed away, except for a few members of my family. And so what happened when that happened is I kind of said, oh, well, how can I promote myself? How can I say, hey, look at me, I'm so great. Here's my new album. I really did kind of pull back. I didn't promote the rest of the album. I stepped away from it. So it was recorded in 2010 and 11, but all the songs have continued to be out there, and I've had people ask me about them, and I've had people talk to me about doing more with them, and but then when my dad and I were doing so many things together, I veered off into doing more big band stuff, because I had the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yes, it was.
I mean, seriously, it's like Natalie Cole being able to sing with her dad, except she did it posthumously. Is that what the right word is? Yes. And so I really got to do it in person, with him. He was on my albums, and he played when I did Santa Baby, the Christmas song. So he was playing on the bands with me. He got to play live with me. I got to play with the big bands, which was a totally different thing for me, but wonderful, because I'm a performer and I love that. But also, my dad is a jazz musician.
Yes.
A real jazz musician. And I can sing jazz songs, but I sing them more like Sinatra and Peggy Lee and that. That's the way we sing our jazz songs. Not like Ella or Carmen, McCrae,
Yeah.
there's a certain thing. And I've never done Brazilian music like somebody that's a really great Brazilian singer. But I can perform, and I have a voice, so I sing the songs, but I sing them more in my style, which is good. But my country pop stuff is over here,
And it's every bit as good.
and this is too. I mean, and this is. So what I'm feeling a lot of right now is that, okay, I got to do all the big band stuff with my dad, and I will forever be blessed that I've done that. It'll be a part of my life. And we even did the country stuff, big band. We did the Patsy Cline stuff. We did my album with a 9-piece big band. So
Wow.
yeah. But so now the last 2 years, kind of, there's been an evolution inside of me that has been more about, okay, all right, I've been doing this, and I've been doing that, I've been doing this and that and this and that, and now I'm taking care of Dad, which is great. But now I knew that the time was coming at some point I was going to be on my own again, but in a different way. Not with my parents being back home where I could call them, my mom and my sisters, and say, hey, guess what I'm doing? They could cheer me on.
Right.
So it's like, what happens? It's like, what's next, right? And so it's kind of like, okay, I'm rediscovering some of my maybe my craziness, not craziness, but just being able to be a little crazy or a little wild or a little this or a little that. It's not so much about being in a structured thing. I have a challenge with structure. So, and I've always known this. I do want to say this. There's one thing about it though. Understanding who we are, not trying to stuff or hide all those sides of us that we don't think are appropriate for somebody to see. If we incorporate all of our sides and we give them each a little bit of attention in our lives, then they are not going to they're going to think she's got multiple personalities. but it's not really that. It's just that we have different parts of ourselves.
Yes.
Even somebody that's in a corporate structure, maybe he plays guitar at night when he's at home. Maybe he doesn't perform as a recording artist, or he doesn't go out and do shows, but it's something inside here.
Yeah.
This is in the heart. These are things that we were born with. There are certain things that we were born with, certain things that we learned, and certain things that we've accomplished or developed, and from our experiences have evolved or melted into or delved into. So for me, it's kind of like, how do I do what I want to do with Fit and Fab Forever, and talk about it, because I love to talk about and I love to be that, and it is part of my mentoring, and I do mentoring I just do it because I just do it naturally. I've been doing it since I was a kid, not calling it mentoring, but I know I do it, and I know people come to me and they ask me things, but I'm always, and I know you know this about me, that I've never been one that says, hey, I'm better than everybody else, right?
No, you never have
I
been.
know what I did, and I'm pretty good at it, and right? And I don't put anybody else down.
No, you never have done that.
I always go, hey, I'm a singer. You're a singer. You want to sing? Come on up and get on stage and sing. So that's me, which is great. But now I need to do that with myself.
Yes. Yes.
A little bit now.
Yep.
That's where I'm at. I'm going, okay, Sandy, now what are you going to do?
You want to sing? Get up here on the stage.
That's right. Get back on the stage, and Terry Ritter says,
I love her.
Sandy, you're not singing. Get out there and sing. I want you to sing. That's what you do best, And so all the other things are part of me, and they will always remain a part of me, and I'll continue, and I'll write. I want to write more books, but I also want to just perform. I just want to get up there and sing some of these songs on this album that have been heard a little bit. And every time I sing a song on stage, people get out there and dance. Or they come up to me afterwards and they say, oh my God, Indiana Rain, I lost somebody in the war. And that song, every time I hear it, it makes me think, and thank you for writing that song. To see, I get that feeling inside of me.
It gives me chills when I think about it.
So
I'm getting them right now.
Yeah, so anyway. I think for right now, I'm stepping into a new phase of my life. and it feels really, really good. It's a little scary, as any new phase is, but it's okay because I have a great circle of friends around me. I have a great support system, and I know Mom and Dad are watching out for me, and everybody else, they're watching out for me.
They are.
So that's my story.
Well, that's a pretty fabulous story. Thank you.
And it's still evolving.
I can't wait for next year when we have you back and hear the sequel.
Yeah. So what do you want to know?
So enough about me. Let's talk about me.
I know. Sorry.
What do you want to know about me?
I want to know everything about you. How are you doing in your life, Judy?
I'm just doing good, but it's time for us to end this show.
Oh, gee. Well, we'll have to have another one. I guess I'll have to start my show so I can just ask you questions.
Exactly. And I'm so thrilled that you were here. It's such an honor to have you on my
thank you.
show.
Thank you.
I've known you forever, and you've grown into an incredibly beautiful person, not just on the outside, but on the inside. And
thank you.
And I love you dearly, and I appreciate you being on my show.
Thank you. But I have learned that I am not perfect. I learned this a long time ago out at the LA College out in LA in the 80s when I was there. I took this one-day class. I just have to do this. I am perfectly imperfect, which is great because that means I can do something and make a mistake, and I can try to learn something and not be perfect at it, but learn about it. And that was a big thing for me.
Well, and that's a big thing about you. You've been a lifelong learner, and that's pretty important,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I like to think I'm a lifelong
You
learner
are.
too. You know,
You
I
are.
constantly try to learn something new.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's been an honor, Sandy Kastel, and thank you for being a part of our show today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. However, you don't know her personally like I do, so I don't know if you could enjoy it as much as I did. But it's been great to have her here, and I hope that you will look her up online, Sandy Kastel, because she's a person that you really want to keep tabs on because she's going to do more great things. Thank you for joining us.
Judy, I really want to thank you for asking me to come down to Laughlin with you to the Florida Di Greco's Fine Art Gallery. I was blown away. I could not believe the size of that place and the amount of art that they had there. And you are now hanging some of your art there, right?
Yes, well, you helped me hang it.
Duh.
Yeah, it's absolutely a beautiful gallery. And she's got over 70 artists, incredible art, everything from realism to abstract to stained glass to sculptures. It's just amazing, all the different kinds of art that she has there in that one gallery. And who would expect to find that in Laughlin, Nevada?
I never would have thought that.
When I was first told about it, they said, "Oh, you've got to go see the art gallery in Laughlin." I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And then I got there, and it was absolutely beautiful. And there's such an array, such a choice of the kinds of art that are there that if you were looking for something for your home or your office, you would find it.
I couldn't believe the diversity of art that she has there. Like you say, there's sculptures, there's paintings, there's
Jewelry.
Just you name it, she's got it. And she is such a sweetheart. I really, really enjoyed meeting her and got the little tour, and yeah, that was awesome. And like you said, it's what, hour and 10 minutes down southeast of here in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it makes a nice day trip.
Oh yeah, and it's just to get out of town. I mean, it's too bad that we had to be back so soon.
Yes.
I could have spent the whole day there just walking around looking at the stuff.
Right.
So anyway.
And it's right on the river.
Yes. I can't believe how Laughlin has grown, and to have an art gallery like that, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
So guys, if you get a chance, take a couple hours, drive down to Laughlin to the big giant mall they've got there now, and check out Florida Di Greco's Fine Art Gallery. The information is on your screen. Thank you.